Huckabee and Chuck Norris. Now that is the dynamic duo.
Yes, it is.
Forget Eli Manning and whoever made that catch. Those are the dynamic duos. How's it going this morning, Governor?
Well, it's going well as you sit there and gush about John McCain. Just don't be too quick about it. You know, everybody was gushing about the Patriots, and they thought it was just a done deal, and the Giants just showed up so they could be cannon fodder for the Patriots. And who won that game, Joe?
Yeah, exactly. I got to tell you, Governor, I'm not actually gushing about John McCain. It's a little tongue planted firmly in cheek. I said I was going to go over and have a drink with John McCain last night. Mika suggested that might be good if I stay away. How does it look as we go to Super Tuesday? It is tomorrow. Obviously, you're going to have a strong showing across the Southeast. What are you expecting out of tomorrow's voting?
We believe we're going to do very well in the South, and that's been a hope for us all along. Chuck has been with me all through this weekend. We've been in Alabama, we've been in Tennessee, we've been in Georgia, and we'll be later in Arkansas, earlier Missouri and Oklahoma. I think this is a different race than what some of the polls reflect. I still believe that people are looking for clarity in conservative thought, and I believe if they really look for somebody who has convictions that are genuine and that have been there a while, they end up with me. And, this idea that my votes are taking votes away from Mitt Romney, that's nonsense. People are not necessarily going to go vote for Mitt Romney if they don't vote for me. I believe, Joe, they're voting for me because they're voting for me.
Well, let's set the record straight then, Governor, because the last time we were on the air, you were on our show, had about a 6-minute interview, and you spent about 5.5 minutes talking about Mitt Romney, and it led some to believe that there may be some sort of deal going on with John McCain, that you might be staying in to take away votes from one candidate so that more go to another. Is this race still about you?
It's ridiculous to assume that I've spent the last 13 months of my life just trying to help John McCain. Every sign that I've seen, my website is not MikeHuckabee.com/John McCain. It's MikeHuckabee.com. It's all the signs say Mike Huckabee for president. And that's what I'm running for. And I think people have supported me because the views that I have resonate with a lot of people that I call not necessarily the Wall Street Republicans, but the Walmart Republicans. The regular folks out there that work for somebody in the White House who will fight for small business owners, for the taxpayers, and not just the tax takers.
Chuck Norris, talk about the campaign. You've been with it from the very beginning. Obviously, this is tomorrow's the big day. What are you going to be doing tomorrow when so many voters are going out and deciding who the next president's going to be?
Well, I'll be watching the polls, but I would just like to encourage the Republicans and the independents who are watching your show right now that when they go into the polling booth, they have to decide who is the best person, best candidate, Republican candidate, that's going to be able to out-debate Obama and Hillary next year. And believe me, when they go in the polling booth, they got to think of the man who's got the articulation and the communication skills to do this, and only Mike Huckabee is the only one that's going to be able to out-debate Obama or Hillary next year. So they really got to think about that when they go in and make that mark for the next Republican primary, for the Republican primary. So think about Huckabee when you make that X.
Well, and Chuck, if they get McCain, he's so old he may fall asleep in the middle of the debate, right?
Oh, come on. That's terrible.
I'm just saying
Chuck did bring up
I'm not going to say anything about John McCain. The thing is that I just feel that Mike Huckabee has the best communication skills, articulation to be able to out-debate Hillary or Obama. And believe me, I think the people should really consider that when they go in the polling booth tomorrow about when they make the X for the Republican candidate.
Hey, Governor, let me ask you something. I know a little bit about Florida politics. I expected you to do much better in the state of Florida. Why didn't you do as well in Florida as you're doing right now, let's say, in Georgia, Alabama, and Tennessee?
What really hurt us in Florida was a lot of national media went out and said we'd pulled out. That got widely reported, and all over Florida, people said, we thought you had left. And it really hurt us there. I am convinced that if that completely false, totally misrepresented story had not played so again, prominently in Florida, we would have come in certainly third and very possibly second. But it really hurt us, and it's one of those ways in which the media can manipulate the elections. Don't ever kid yourself and think that the media doesn't play a role in this by saying, oh, well, this is a two-man race, and Huckabee's not contending. And the next thing you know, the polls reflect what they said rather than that the, in essence, story reflects what the polls say. But that really hurt us in Florida. And we just couldn't quite, in a few days' time, convince people that every single day I was actually in Florida, and we had not pulled out.
Yeah, let's talk about the conservatives. You talk about Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity. A lot of conservatives have issues with John McCain and yourself, and they seem right now, and I'm talking about those that, let's say the people in the chattering class of the conservative movement, if you want to call them that, are moving to Romney and believe that you should get out of the way so John McCain can be stopped. That's another media-generated story that I'm sure you'd like to address right now. Go ahead and do that.
Well, what's frustrating, you know, I'm not some troubled company that Mitt Romney can buy and sell off the assets like he did at Bain Capital. I highly resent that whole idea that somehow I owe it to step aside. You know, if anybody ought to step aside, Mitt Romney, after spending $100 million to have virtually the same market share as me, anybody with a Harvard MBA ought to know that that's a business enterprise that's not very efficient. For about $7 million, we've done a pretty darn good job of getting the message out there. So I think if anybody wants to look at the return on investment, they'd put their money on the Huckabee campaign. Here's one thing, though, that's very frustrating. When I hear some of these so-called conservative leaders say, let's pick a real conservative, who's been consistent on the human life issue? Me. Who's been consistent on the Second Amendment? Me. Who's been consistent about Bush tax cuts? Me. Who's been consistent about cutting spending and signing the tax pledge that we will not raise taxes? Me. Who's supporting the fair tax, the most conservative approach to taxes at all that gets rid of the IRS? Me. Who's been consistent about same-sex marriage? Me. You know, if you look at whether it's national defense, whether it's social issues, name any part of the conservative cause, you know, I've never been out there like Mitt Romney did saying 10 years ago that I wasn't a part of that Reagan-Bush thing. I was a part of that Reagan-Bush thing. So when people question my conservative credentials, you know, I want to question them on where they would get that. I was leading conservative issues in a very Democrat state with a whole lot of opposition, and I think that there's clarity and consistency in my conservatism that you don't find in the other candidates, and that's why I think people are not getting sold the true story out there.
All right, Governor, I think, Governor, you just made Chuck Norris's point about who would be the best debater in the fall. Don't you agree?
Yeah, and look at Chuck Norris. He is dead serious about the Huckabee campaign. It looks like a Secret Service agent next to you, Governor. Nobody has run a scrappier campaign, and we appreciate your coming on. Hey, I got him to smile. Did you see Chuck Norris?
He did smile. And let me just say, in a fight between Schwarzenegger and Chuck Norris, it ain't even close. Take Chuck Norris every time.
Yeah.
Governor, thank you so much. Huck and Chuck, greatly appreciate it. Good luck tomorrow. Great seeing you again.
You bet, guys. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks so much. And break or mayor?
Mayor. Oh,
all right.
Wonderful.
Let's go to the mayor of Boston. Good to see you, Mr.